Hey there, science fans! Today we're diving into the world of ionizing radiation. Now I know what you're thinking, radiation sounds scary, and you know what, you're right to be cautious. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break down what ionizing radiation actually is. In simple terms, radiation is energy that travels in waves or particles. Think of sunlight, which is a form of electromagnetic radiation. But unlike the light we see, ionizing radiation carries a lot more energy. This energy is strong enough to knock electrons off atoms, creating ions. That's where the name ionizing radiation comes from. This process of ionization can be harmful to living things because it can damage DNA, the blueprint of life. It's like scrambling the instructions in a cell's manual, which can lead to cell death or even cancer. But don't worry too much just yet. We're exposed to low levels of ionizing radiation every day from natural sources like cosmic rays and radioactive elements in the ground. It's when we encounter high levels of radiation, like from medical imaging or nuclear accidents, that things get risky. So ionizing radiation, powerful stuff, but not something to be terrified of. The key is understanding the risks and taking appropriate precautions. Stick around and we'll explore this fascinating topic further. Now that we know a bit about ionizing radiation, let's talk about how we measure it. After all, we can't see it or smell it, so how do we know how much of it we're exposed to? The amount of radiation absorbed by our bodies is called the radiation dose. It's measured in units called sieverts, but because 1 sievert is a large dose, we often use millisieverts, which are 1,000th of a sievert. Think of it like this. Imagine you're filling a bucket with water. The bucket represents your body and the water represents radiation. The amount of water in the bucket is like the radiation dose you've received. But here's the thing, not all radiation is created equal. Different types of radiation have different energies and can penetrate our bodies to different depths. So, the biological effect of radiation depends not only on the dose, but also on the type of radiation involved. To account for these differences, scientists use a unit called the sievert equivalent or millisievert equivalent. This unit takes into account the type of radiation and its potential to cause harm to our bodies. Understanding radiation dosage is crucial for protecting ourselves and others from the harmful effects of radiation. In the next section, we'll discuss these effects in more detail. Stay tuned. So we know that ionizing radiation can be harmful, but how exactly does it affect our bodies? Well, remember how we talked about ionization scrambling a cell's instructions? That's where the trouble begins. When ionizing radiation interacts with our cells, it can damage DNA, the molecule that carries our genetic information. Now, our bodies are pretty amazing at repairing minor DNA damage, but sometimes the damage is too severe or the repair process goes wrong. This can lead to a range of health problems, both short-term and long-term. Short-term effects, also known as acute radiation syndrome, usually occur after exposure to high doses of radiation over a short period. Symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, hair loss, and even death in extreme cases. Long-term effects, on the other hand, can take years or even decades to develop. These can include an increased risk of cancer, cataracts, and genetic mutations that can be passed down to future generations. The severity of these effects depends on factors like the dose of radiation, the type of radiation, and the individual's age and overall health. One well-known example of the dangers of radiation exposure is the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. The explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant released a massive amount of radiation into the environment, leading to numerous cases of acute radiation sickness and long-term health problems for people living in the affected areas. The Chernobyl disaster serves as a stark reminder of the importance of understanding and managing the risks associated with ionizing radiation. By learning about the effects of radiation and taking appropriate precautions, we can minimize our exposure and protect ourselves and future generations. When working with ionizing radiation, safety is paramount. Protective gear plays a crucial role in minimizing exposure and ensuring the well-being of workers. From lead aprons to specialized gloves, each piece of equipment is designed to shield against harmful radiation. It's essential to understand the correct usage and maintenance of this gear to maximize its effectiveness. Remember, proper training and adherence to safety protocols can make a significant difference in radiation protection. In Mongolia, the regulation of radiation work is governed by strict laws to ensure public and environmental safety. These laws outline the necessary qualifications for workers, the standards for equipment, and the protocols for handling radioactive materials. Compliance with these regulations is not just a legal requirement, but a critical component of responsible radiation management. By adhering to these laws, Mongolia aims to protect its citizens and preserve its natural resources from the potential hazards of ionizing radiation. In conclusion, understanding ionizing radiation and its implications is crucial for anyone working in this field. From the importance of protective gear to the stringent laws in place, every aspect is designed to safeguard health and safety. Continuous education and adherence to best practices are key to minimizing risks and ensuring a safe working environment. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of ionizing radiation. Stay safe and informed.